All right, let's just jump right in with a big question. Have you ever stopped and thought, is this it? Is this physical, day to day existence the only way to be alive? Well, we're going to explore a really cool idea today from the work of Bediüzzaman Said Nursi. He puts forward this framework that says life isn't just one thing. Nope, it actually has 5 different levels. And really, this is the question that kicks the whole thing off. Think about it. God has given every single creature a way of life that's perfectly suited for it. So, does it make sense that there's only one form of life? I mean, look around. We've got creatures in the deepest parts of the ocean, life thriving high up in the mountains. Why would life itself be a one-size-fits-all deal? It just doesn't add up. And that single idea, that's our starting point for this whole explainer. Yeah, just let that sink in for a second. Life is perfectly adapted to its environment. You take a deep-sea fish and put it on land, it's not going to make it. Same for us trying to live underwater without gear. So the source material uses this as a jumping-off point. It says, hey, if life can be so perfectly designed for water, or land, or even kilometers deep in the Earth, why couldn't there be life designed for other planets, or stars, or even the emptiness of space? It's a pretty mind-bending thought, right? Okay, so with our minds officially expanded, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this framework. We're going to break down these 5 levels, these tubacolars of life. And we'll start with the one we all know best, our own. So, level 1, this is our limited existence. And yeah, this is the life we're all living right now. It's us, it's animals, it's plants. It's that physical, biological reality we wake up to every single day. And look, our life is amazing for sure. But let's be real, it comes with a lot of rules. We're born, we grow up, we get old, we die. That's the deal. We need to eat, we need to drink just to function. And our senses, they're actually pretty limited. We can't see through walls, we can't fly, we can't just decide to live underwater. So this first level, with all its restrictions, is our baseline. It's the ground floor, and it's what we'll use to compare just how wild the other levels get. All right, now things start getting really interesting. Let's talk about the second and third levels, which are all about the lives of certain prophets. This is where those strict rules we just talked about start to, well, bend. We're looking at a kind of life with way fewer restrictions. And you can see a definite progression here. The second level, which is associated with figures like Huzid and Ilyas, has this degree of freedom. They can exist in multiple places at once. They're not totally bound by human needs. Like, they can eat if they want to, but they don't have to. Then you get to the third level with Idris and Isa, or Jesus. And this is a whole other ballgame. It's described as a luminous, light-like, almost angelic life. They are completely free from human needs, living with a spiritual body up in the heavens. And to back this up, the source points to this verse from the Quran. It says, they did not kill him, nor did they crucify him. Rather, Allah raised him to himself. See, the whole idea here is that Isa, Jesus, didn't experience death the way we do. Instead, he was sort of promoted. He transitioned to this higher, more light-like form of life in the heavens, skipping the physical end that we're also familiar with. Okay, so we've covered our life and the lives of prophets. Now let's move on to the fourth level, and this one is about the life of martyrs. It's described as this really unique, elevated existence that's granted to those who die in a state of martyrdom. And the cornerstone for this idea is another powerful verse from the Quran. It says, and do not say of those who are slain in the way of Allah they are dead. Rather, they are alive, but you perceive it not. Wow. I mean, that's pretty direct, isn't it? It's saying flat out that martyrs aren't dead in the way we think of it. They're alive, but in a way that's just beyond our current perception. So what does that actually mean? Well, the key thing to get here is that this isn't just about their soul floating around somewhere. The source describes it as a full-on, real existence in a place called the Barzakh, which is like an in-between realm between our world and the resurrection. And in this realm, they're living a life that's kind of like ours, but without any of the bad stuff. No hardship, no sorrow. They think they're still alive, just in a much, much better version of the world. There's this fantastic analogy to help us wrap our heads around this. Think about having a really great dream. If you're lucid dreaming and you know you're dreaming, the pleasure is kind of incomplete, right? Because you know it's going to end when you wake up. That's supposedly like the soul of a regular person in the grave. But what about when you don't know you're dreaming? Then that happiness, that joy feels completely 100% real. It's pure and undiluted. And that is what life is said to be like for a martyr. And to really bring this home, the author shares a personal story. He talks about a vision he had of his own nephew, Ubed, who had been martyred. And in this vision, his nephew was totally happy, totally convinced that he was still alive, just in a better world. In fact, he was worried about his uncle because he thought his uncle had died and was having a hard time. It's such a powerful personal way to illustrate this idea. All right, that brings us to the fifth and final level. This is the big one because it's about the journey of the soul for, well, everyone after death. So, to understand this level, you have to kind of rewire your brain about what death even is. In this view, vit, or death, is not the end. It's not just nothingness. It's a change of place. It's the spirit being released from its job here on Earth. Think of it less like a full stop and more like a discharge from worldly duties. So in this spirit world, you're still you. Your consciousness keeps going. The source explains that souls of the deceased can actually meet up and interact. And they still feel things, pleasure, pain, joy, all of it. But there's a key difference. The souls of believers are described as being free, able to move around and explore, while the souls of unbelievers or great sinners might find themselves confined. So there you have it, 5 levels of life. We've gone from our own super-limited existence all the way up to the luminous lives of prophets, the unique state of martyrs, and the ongoing journey of every soul. And it leaves us with this massive question to chew on, right? If death isn't an end, if it's just a transition to a different level of life, what does that mean for us right here, right now?